Nonfiction biography about Dr. Carson. And it is written by Alice Carey. An Impossible Dream. When he was 8 years old, Ben Carson decided he wanted to be a doctor. Ben's family couldn't afford to go to a doctor's office. If someone got sick, they went to the emergency room at a hospital. Usually they had to wait a long line to see a doctor, but Ben didn't mind. He liked to watch the doctors rush around. He heard the doctors' names called out on a speaker. He imagined that one day he would hear his own name called the same way. Dr. Carson! Ben's family moved when he was in 5th grade, and the classes at his new school were much harder than at his old school. Suddenly, he was getting the worst grades in his class. Kids called Ben dummy, and he started to think maybe he wasn't very smart. It seemed as though Ben's dream of becoming a doctor would never come true. One day, Ben took a math quiz with 30 problems. The students checked each other's answers. The teacher asked Ben how many problems he got right. She thought he said 9. Not 9, the girl behind Ben said. None. Ben didn't get any right. Math attack. Ben soon failed another test, an eye test. He got eyeglasses so he could see what was written on the board in school. His math grades got a little better. He wasn't failing anymore, but he was barely passing. Ben's mother knew her son could do much better. She told him he could get the best grades in that class. And I am going to help, she declared. Ben wondered how his mother could help him. She had quit school after 3rd grade. The first thing you're going to do is memorize your multiplication tables, Ben's mom said. Ben groaned. Learning all that math could take a year, he thought. But his mother told him he was not allowed to go outside after school until he learned those multiplication facts. This right here is Sonia Carson, Ben Carson's mom. After school the next day, Ben could hear his friends outside. He sat inside staring at a math book. This studying felt like torture, and the numbers were a jumble. But after a few days, the numbers began to make more sense to Ben. Soon, he took another quiz with 30 more math problems. How many did you get right? His teacher asked. 24, Ben answered. Steps to success. Ben's mother had more plans for her son. She wanted Ben to read 2 library books each week, and she limited his TV watching to just 3 shows a week. Ben hated those new rules. He had never read a book on his own, not one. He wasn't interested in reading. A family secret. Ben's mother made him write reports about the books he read. Years later, Ben found out that his mother could hardly read herself. She just pretended to read his reports. While Ben was in college, his mother learned to read better. She even got a high school diploma. Ben dragged himself to the library to find a book to read. Once he was inside, he didn't know what to do. What do you want to read about? A librarian asked him. Animals, Ben answered. Ben took home a book about a beaver. He was very surprised as he began to read it. He loved the book. He thought it was fascinating. Ben kept reading nature books. Soon he could name many different kinds of rocks, plants, and fish. In science class, he helped other kids identify these things. Ben's teacher invited him to the science lab after school. Ben loved to look at water from a creek under the microscope. Lots of tiny animals swam around in there. Ben wanted to learn about them. He knew that doctors had to be good at science. At school, kids didn't call Ben a dummy anymore. They had watched him get better and better at his schoolwork. Now, he even helped other kids with their homework. Ups and downs. Ben became an outstanding student, but he wasn't always perfect. Sometimes he stayed out late with friends instead of studying. It was fun to be popular. But when Ben had fun instead of doing his homework, his grades fell. This is a picture of Ben Carson when he graduated from high school. Ben had another problem too. He had a terrible temper. If someone hit him, he'd hit him back harder. Once a kid hit Ben with a rock. Ben threw a rock back, smashing the boy's glasses. Later, Ben was angry at himself. He knew fighting would get him nowhere. Over time, Ben worked hard to learn to control his temper. He didn't want to end up in jail for fighting. He still wanted to be a doctor. The brain surgeon. Ben did become a doctor. He became a great doctor. Today, he is a neurosurgeon. A surgeon is a doctor who operates on people. A neurosurgeon operates on people's brains. Ben performed surgeries that no one else would try. One 4-year-old girl named Miranda had terrible seizures. During a seizure, something in the brain makes you shake uncontrollably. Miranda had 100 or more seizures each day. She was barely able to eat, walk, or talk. Ben operated on Miranda and removed half of her brain. The seizures stopped and Miranda recovered. She was able to think with the part of her brain that was left. People often ask Ben to fix impossible problems. In 1987, he led a team of 70 doctors and nurses in a 22-hour operation to separate twin boys. The boys were born joined together at their heads. No doctor had ever done such a thing. After the operation, each boy slept in his own bed, for the first time. Ben knows all about brains, but he still remembers being called the dumbest kid in the school. In 5th grade, with years of hard work, he proved those words wrong. He also proved some words right. Dr. Carson. He wants all kids to know that they can make their dreams come true, just the way he did. Become a Carson Scholar. Ben tells kids to think big and wants to help them go to college. The Carson Scholar Fund gives $1,000 scholarships to students who do well in school and help their community. The end. So, I have a question here. Tell me 3 things that Dr. Carson has done to change people's lives. Let's think about 3 things that Dr. Carson did to change people's lives. Well, one of them, did he change his mom's life? Yeah. He, writing all those reports that his mom wanted him to write, encouraged her to want to learn how to read and return to school to earn a high school diploma. He was able to operate to divide twin boys, right, that were born together, and he was able to separate them with a surgery so that they can live a life of their own. And he was also able to help a little 4-year-old girl with a surgery to stop her brain seizures. And just like that, I'm sure that he has been a part of many other surgeries that have helped people improve their health and be able to live a normal life. So I think that Dr. Carson is a hero because he helps people and he cures them. He makes them feel better. Thank you so much for your time. Stay safe. Hope to see you soon.